here today to talk about Work Design Magazine's The Next Work Environment competition. This design competition seeks to expand our thinking about the issues related to our work environments because of COVID-19. We see this as an opportunity to think beyond traditional design, to create spaces that focus on people. And as part of our conversation, we've created this ongoing series, interviewing our jury members to gain insights into their perspectives on the next work environment. So today, I'm fortunate to be here with Clive Wilkinson. Clive is an architect, designer, writer, strategist with a particular expertise in the application of urban design thinking to interior design, specifically in workplace and educational communities. He was born in South Africa and educated in the United Kingdom, where he received his degree from the prestigious Architectural Association of Architecture in London. His practice, Clive Wilkinson Architects, was established in Los Angeles in 1991. He's been inducted into the Interior Design Hall of Fame. He was named as a Master of Design by Fast Company and a Pioneer of Design by IIDA. So Clive, maybe if I can ask you to start out and tell me a little bit about your background and some of the things that you're working on.
Sure, Bob. I grew up in Cape Town, South Africa, so very, very far from the context of North America. The African context definitely influenced my thinking, particularly about the economy of resources, how to use as little as possible to get the maximum impact in design. And I extended my studies in London, mostly concentrating on office buildings, but from the shell and core side, from building office buildings, rather than from the interior side. And then when I came to the States in 1990, I slowly kind of transformed into an architect who was mostly concerned with designing from the inside to outwards. And I found myself working with some great creative clients, particularly ad agencies in the late 90s. And that just naturally rolled into getting some clients like Google, tech companies, and also financial services companies. And it was always about how to create a culture of creativity, of communality within organizations, how to reframe the company's focus around the employee and the people in the company. So a highly socialized situation. And of course, where we've rolled into in 2020 with the COVID-19 pandemic crisis, a lot of what we have been working on has been turned on its head. Since in many ways, most of our thinking was involved around the friction, the positive friction between people, which creates powerful communities and powerful teams, is now severely challenged by the need for social distancing. We are in a little bit of a crisis mode with the next workplace, in part because of the uncertainty surrounding so many aspects of what we do next, which of course is also a provocation for this competition now. There's obviously short-term solutions and then longer-term solutions. And I do personally believe that this pandemic in a few years' time is going to be a thing of the past. And we are indeed going to be back to feeling it's fine for humans to rub up against humans. In the meantime, a lot of other things have taken place that are very interesting. The self-isolation thing of working from home really has been an incredible experiment which validates remote working and validates the ability of office workers to work anywhere, unsupervised in terms of visual supervision, and able to really prove that digital technology has really enabled an agile world. So that part of it's very, very exciting, I think. And I do indeed think that the next stage is a hybrid working situation, because we have to consider going back to offices which are already equipped. So in the short term, a hybrid 50-50 kind of, or in whatever percentages companies deem necessary, a shift working within existing offices is likely the norm. Does that require serious design work? I'm not sure, because part of me is very uncertain about when is a vaccine going to land, when are we going to be able to remove ourselves from this kind of fear-based thinking, which really is, is subsuming everyone, and certainly our design industry.
Yeah, Clive, I agree with you. I think we're in this sort of fascinating period of time where, a lot of things have been turned on their heads. And, the way that we are working now remotely, I think a lot of things have been advanced very rapidly as a result of that. I'm curious, with your business, how's the coronavirus affected you and the work that you do?
Oh, honestly, pretty badly. We've had so many projects either cancelled or put on hold. So it's it's a very insecure time to be someone in the workplace sphere. I do still think optimistically that we're learning lessons now about how we work and how we interact, and we are becoming familiar with technologies that we were less familiar with before. So there has to be many good things about this, and I would never personally have considered working from home in the past. I'm now starting to think very positively about working from home, and I think a lot of other people as well. And that learning is pretty fundamental. So I do think we're in for a very interesting way in the immediate future about how companies are going to realign themselves. And I do think there's going to be quite a bit of variety about how that happens. For us in the design world, we are not in a good position right now.
Well, you're kind of sharing some optimism in terms of, things that are positive that will come out of this. I mean, are there other things that you see that will come out that are positive that you'll carry forward?
Oh, no, truly, I do actually see this as a very interesting moment. I mean, this is a disruptor moment. And disruptor moments are fascinating because they shift the whole paradigm. So we can't casually carry on delivering the same formulas for solving workplace solutions that we had in the past. We really are having to challenge ourselves. And I think that's the benefit of this competition, is that it's trying to push people to think creatively about solutions and share that thinking. And hopefully we're all going to become more enlightened at the end of it.
Yeah. So as we start coming back, into the work environment, what kind of issues do you see that, we're going to have to deal with, more immediately as opposed to down the road?
Well, for one thing, one of the critical issues is really fear itself. And how does a workplace address that? There's obviously medical and hygiene related issues with the social distancing and the cleaning of surfaces, et cetera, that is a major player in this. But the psychological issue of fear is something that I think companies and designers can hopefully find solutions to ameliorating that fear, so that people can get comfortable coming back to work. I certainly perceive that there's going to be an incongruity between people who are really too scared to go back to the office at all, with people who don't share those fears at all. And there's going to be a disparity in organizations. Some people are happy to go back to the office, and some people are very unhappy about the idea. So how does design help solve that? Because it is the environment that is part of the fear. It's not just human contact itself. So I'm hoping that it doesn't start feeling like going into a hospital or something like that, or into a doctor's office. I think we've got to find ways of avoiding that.
Yeah, no, that was really one of the foundations that inspired this competition. Was I saw too many people reacting, and I was afraid we were going to be designing out of fear and not thinking. I mean, not taking the opportunity that we should be, in a situation like this to kind of elevate the conversation. Is there anything that you're going to be doing differently, in the way that you work or in your work environment?
Yes, so we're definitely doing a sequencing of workers. It'll be like Monday, Wednesdays, Tuesday, Thursdays, maybe voluntary Fridays. We have to reduce density, and this is the easiest way of doing it. And it's going to be very interesting. I certainly hope we don't all have to be sitting around wearing masks, but that may be the case.
Stepping back and looking at the big picture, what's your biggest concern, with the workplace moving forward, or greatest hope for that matter?
Well, my greatest hope has always been the same thing, that that the workplace becomes this fantastic opportunity to become part of a community that is meaningful, that's involved in meaningful work, that's fulfilling for the worker, that they, in a sense, kind of fulfill their own sense of self-worth and identity by their association and feeling of integration within the workplace community. It really should be something that is part of addressing people's life's goals. And I think that there's a role that the workplace plays as a kind of a stage set for that experience. So I think going forward, one wants the same things, but we've just got more critical parameters now that are playing onto that. And in the short term, it is the hardest, I think, because we have all these issues of fear, of genuine kind of health, medical kind of concerns, and the movement and proximity of people is massively impacted. If you look back at pandemics of the past, humanity gets past them. Powerful movement of social architecture in the 1920s was very much inspired by and fueled by the Spanish flu pandemic, which led to opening up hospitals. There's that fabulous Alvar Aalto Paimio Hospital in Finland. And there were so many examples of that where space, light, and air became major players in architecture of our time. So I think that there are going to be things that come out of this too, which we can't quite see yet, but we will see them within the next, the unfolding months ahead.
Clive, for our participants in the jury, what would you recommend to them? How should they approach this as a design problem? What kinds of things should they be thinking about? What kinds of things will you be looking for in their response?
Well, of course, you always say to people in a competition, think outside the box. So we're back to thinking outside the box for sure. You have to think outside the box because the box isn't much use anymore. And I think one's looking for obviously sustainable solutions and holistic solutions, but I think ingenuity about space, furniture, how people flow in office spaces. It's got to go beyond people marking out 6-foot increments on a conference table and 6-foot dots on the floor. It's got to, that's a given, but let's get beyond that.
Or plastic barriers.
Right. Yeah.
Great. Clive, well, this has been a great conversation. I'm excited to have you participating in the jury. Thanks. We really appreciate your involvement.
It's a pleasure, Bob, and it's a valuable initiative that you've got here. So I'm happy to contribute and participate.